I'm Nick Stevens, I'm a senior technician with Frog Environmental. We're just going to go through what we install into ditch features to do what's called a bulk dropout of silt from surface water off construction sites. To do this, we need some way for water to travel, or the surface water to be treated, to move over the top of a gel flocculant block. What we generally do is we create some sort of feature where we can back the water up and control the flow and redirect it over the blocks, and we usually contain this in a pipe. Usually this is a 300 ml or greater pipe, because the gel flocculant blocks will actually expand to approximately twice their size with time. And like I said, the main aim of what we're doing here is to direct the majority of the flow through the treatment. There will be a little bit of seepage for a sandbag system like this, but if it's well built, it'll be minimal. And since we've got two walls in this, anything that does seep through is not likely to get through both of them without experiencing some sort of treated water. Double sandbag front wall construction with a 300 ml pipe. If you have a problem with the chemical reaction with the gel flocculants, you can actually put a collar on this one, a reduction plate, or even a hole in some sort of fascia plate fixed into a collar, and physically reduce the flow going through the pipework. But at that point, you've got to account for how far the water is going to back up in your ditch. Do you have enough capacity in there? Quite a simple system to use. Generally, I will use a chain on concrete pipework, or anything where there's a risk of the rope being severed. And what we're doing here is we're just suspending gel flocculant blocks on a chain fixed to the edge of the pipework with a series of malons or quick links, depending on what you call them. My little easy to do up, easy to undo. And a lot of the systems that we use with gel flocculants typically we're trying to find something that's easy to use. The simpler it is, the less there is to go wrong. Today is nice and dry, it's not raining, but as you can see, it wouldn't be that hard to install this in a ditch that's running with water with your wellies on. So we've suspended 4 blocks on a chain. Always start with the yellow, the 494 if we're using a 494. Different sites use different combinations of gel flocculant, so that isn't always the case. But predominantly, for most of the sites in the UK, it will be a 494 on the lead. And this is your passive treatment system. This is what we refer to as bulk. So dirty water be coming down the ditch, it flows over the blocks, and as it flows over the blocks, it shears some of the surface off. It doesn't dissolve like a block of sugar as such. The water, when you're using this system, the main consideration is where the flocculated material is going to go, and we'll talk a little bit about that next. If we use a rope, we make it a little bit cheaper, and there's more chance of it being used in multiple locations on site. An attenuation feature can be a number of things. In a ditch system like this, you could make it out of a clay subsoil lined with a topsoil. You could put something else in there that's fabricated, like a plywood sheet or something like that, or you can use sandbags. Sandbags are nice, versatile, and you've got a lot of versatility in how it molds to the ditch. It also means you can retrofit it to the ditch easily if it's wet. What makes a good bund? A well-constructed bund will back the water up if you require. If we needed to improve the ability of the flocculant to react with the water, we might reduce the flow of water over the blocks. This is simply done in a physical manner by putting a blanking plate or restrictor valve on here. You physically restrict the flow going over by restricting the aperture. So this is primarily designed to remove the majority of the suspended material in surface water coming from a construction site. The main consideration when using a system like this is where the material will accumulate after treatment. So you've got dirty water coming down the ditch, it backs up and then it goes through directed onto the blocks. Afterwards you will have clean water and a load of particulates dropping out. So afterwards you will want some form of attenuation pond, settlement trap or attenuation feature that's just going to capture that material. You're also going to sacrifice a little bit of quality going through the system. That's why we always use some form of polishing after a bulk treatment system. Right, gel flocculant block. It works by water going over the surface and shearing some of the block off. When there's no water running over it, it will just sit there. It will dry out a little bit, but not all the time. But it will essentially sit there waiting for the next lot of rain. It's not going to degrade or disappear or anything like that. It will just sit there, rain ready as such. And it provides a calculatable and safe method for treating silt on construction sites. It also provides one of the fastest rates of treatment. Each one of these blocks being rated to around 200 litres a minute. So if you've got 4 blocks, that'll be 800 litres a minute you'd be treating. The gel flocculants that we're using here in this passive treatment, they come in 5 different types and we blend them dependent on the soil chemistry of your site. Each site will respond differently to the blend of flocculants. We're always looking for the most efficient of those. In terms of when it stops working, generally if you're monitoring it, which you should be, as you see the numbers start to increase, indicating there's more turbidity in the water, you want to start looking at the blocks in there. But generally you will check to see if the blocks are still, if there's still flocculants present there on a daily or weekly basis. Simply a case of take it out, look at it. If there's some blocks still in the net, it's still valid. As it goes down towards nearly empty, I wouldn't bother throwing the bit away, just put the new block on top. In terms of disposal of the rest, sandbag, it's got sand in it, and plastic, yeah, essentially all of this can just taken straight out of the ditch and disposed of in an appropriate manner.